Hey guys, what's up? Big John with J Custom Builds. Hey, listen, if you're new to my channel, do me a favor, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If you have not entered my current giveaway, a beautiful 2009 Ultra, head over to my website right now, jcustombuilds.com. Buy yourself a hat, buy yourself a t-shirt. That's your automatic entry into the giveaway. I hope you guys are enjoying my videos. I want to say thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you to all my customers who have entered into the giveaway. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Other than that, let's get this day going. I'm excited.
Hey guys, so this is actually the same day that I did the rear fender. I was trying to split the videos. So here I'm putting the lower fairing trim on the front of the bike, and so I'm having to remove the bolts, and only the bolts on the bottom because it only mounts to the bottom bolt. So you always want to make sure that you leave 2 bolts on the tops, because you're to put these side lights on, the side markers, the blinkers, whatever you want to call them. All you need to do is remove the lower bolt, and I should have actually strapped the zip tied all the wires up, but I wanted to go over them before I actually did that, and so I got a little bit ahead of myself. I just want to get this bike done. So, I mean, the wires are pretty much in place. I just got to zip tie them, and just to make sure I hold them down. But here you'll see I'm putting on the bezel. Now, the top of this trim has a little indentation, and it also has it on the fairing as well, and on the brackets that come down, and then it has a hole. So as long as you got those 2 little nipples pressed into the inner fairing and the actual brackets, then you're okay. So here I'm actually removing the top bolt now so that I could get the left side. I actually put the bolt in already for the light, and of course you want to get the top one in first. Put the bottom one in. That's going to swing down on you if you let it go. So once I get the top one in place, then I'm going to work on the bottom one. And there's a little bit of play on those side lights, the side markers, and so you want to make sure that you get the bolts nice and centered when you put them in. You'll see me taking a look at it, because I mean, if you tighten them up, they're going to end up crooked. You're going to be able to tell. You know, certain people that are looking at the side of the bike will be able to tell if you got it. You know, it might be a little cockeyed. So, but I like to get them nice and centered and then get them tightened down. I'm also having my coffee, so forgive me if I slurp a little bit too loud. You know, doing all these voiceovers, I'm going to make sure that I get the mic turned on, not only plugged in the back of the phone, but the actual mic that connects to your collar or your hat. I'm going to make sure I have it on. You can actually see the mic on the top of my hat. That way I'm not bumping it if it's on my sweater or on my shoulder or wherever. I like it on the top of the hat, and I like the sound facing up, you know, the microphone facing up. That way it doesn't have too much, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, it tends to be too loud, and it starts giving out just background noise. Sounds kind of crappy. But I found that's the best place to actually have it. And so here, I believe I got the top bolt in, and you know, it's best to do one side at a time. You know, and you know that fairing, you know, there's 2 holes on the bracket and the inner fairing, and then when you're trying to put the outer fairing trim, that bezel there, the chrome big bezel there, you want to make sure that all the holes lined up. They should line up. They shouldn't be off too much, but You know, you want to just, you may have to wiggle the fairing around in the bracket to make sure that you know, get the holes lined up so you're not sitting there looking for it. And so here I'm just tightening up the top bolt. And just going over the wires to make sure that the wires are all okay and where I'm going to be positioning them. And I'm going to be zip tying them really soon, so just finding new positions for them. Making sure everything's plugged in as well. And there I'm just grabbing the headlight plug and just moving it over. And right here I'm just the wire's kind of weird coming from the side marker, and so I'm just gonna plug it in there. And you know, I usually go over all the wires maybe 2 or 3 times before I put the outer fairing on there. And I like to make sure that everything's working, all the gauges, lights, the speakers, anything that I need to check, you know, before I put the outer fairing on. And so now I'm going to be putting the LEDs in, starting off on the left side on the upper left small gauge. You know, because the small gauges, especially at night, you need to see those, you know, a little bit better. You know, you need to make sure you check your fuel and your oil and whatnot. You just want to make sure that you have your lights, you know, you can actually see them. And you can actually change the 2 big gauges. You can change those to LEDs as well, but you got to take them apart. And it's not easy. I've actually cracked one before. And it's really tedious, you know. And so these lights are actually white, and they're going to be the same color as the two larger gauges. And so they're going to look good. They're going to look good. So I just did the 2 left sides, the top and the bottom. You want to make sure that you have them in there even, because the bikes do vibrate quite a bit. And so there's two little lips on each side of the connector that plugs into the slot on the gauges. And you want to make sure that the top and the bottom is plugged in. There I was just showing you guys really quick what the old original bulbs look like. You know, that's what we had at the time, 2010. So, you know, they did the job, but, you know, things just continue to enhance and get better and better. And so LEDs is the new thing. They're just, they're great, very efficient. So I'm just showing you guys the older bulbs, and they had like a rubber cover over them. I don't know what that was. The purpose of that was. I don't know if it's to keep them from getting too hot and actually, you know, melting, you know, the plastic on the gauge, or not sure. And so I've already done the top right one. Now I'm doing the bottom, and I believe I'm done. Throw those babies away. And so here I believe I'm taking the cable out to the brake, because I never did put the grommet. And so those are slotted holes, right, for the cable in the brake line in the inner fairing. And usually they take an oval shaped grommet that you can pick up. They're a couple bucks, but I had some round ones that I had used before, and I think I have a couple left. And that's what I'm actually trying to get in there now. I believe I used one of these on on Sapphire or maybe the bike before, and it actually worked. But it's kind of cool. It was cool on this day, maybe 58, and the grommet was the rubber was kind of hard, right? And so on a warmer day, it's easier to bend the grommet and maneuver it. You know, it's a round grommet, but you can shape it to get it in there. And this size actually fits perfectly in that slot. And so I'm just using a small screwdriver there because I made sure that the lip fitted over perfectly on the painted side. And if I did have to do any adjusting or any, pulling of the lip to get the lip out all the way around, I used the screwdriver on the inner side, which is flat. And, if you happen to nick the plastic, you're not going to be able to see it. I just didn't want to damage the outer paint. So I finally got that in there, and here I am getting the brake line back in. And the clutch side already had a grommet that I pulled off the old fairing. And unfortunately, the fairing, the old fairing did not have a rubber on it where the brake line was going through. So I need to have a couple of those on hand. So here I'm actually reconnecting the brake line to the brake reservoir, right on the right side of the handlebar. And it's kind of weird because this brake line is actually not, it's supposed to, when you mount it, the curve is supposed to go with the flow of the bars, right? So it has that curvature right where it mounts. And for whatever reason, these lines, you're not able to twist them. They don't just twist very easy. They just, the form that they're in is the form that you're going to mount it to. And so it's connected correctly on the bottom, but I don't know why it's not. It's actually, you can see how it's facing the outside. I'll show you that at a later time by the end of the day so you can see what I'm talking about. But I'm probably going to have to remove the bottom connection and see if I can mount it to the top first and then reconnect it on the bottom. And hopefully I can get that done. So now here you're seeing me run the clutch cable through the bottom. And so I like to run the clutch cable like, you want to make sure that you don't have any tension on the clutch cable as you turn the bars all the way to the left and to the right. You want to make sure that you have it kind of centered in the triple tree so that you're not yanking that cable or it's not restricting you from turning left or right. And so there, the steering locked on me. So I have a screwdriver that I use in case it locks with the key out. And so as you can see, I was able to actually loosen that up and turn it. And so you got to be careful though. If you guys don't know what you're doing, you can damage the inside of the switch, and you don't want to do that. So actually here, I tried the cable because sometimes if they're long, you can actually get them around that bracket, and I didn't like the way it was. So here I'm actually pulling it out because I'm rerouting it on the inside of the highway bar. You don't want it to be on the outside. You want it to be behind the highway bar. See, you can see it behind the frame of the highway bar so that it gives you better turning radius to the left and to the right. And so here I try to get it around the fairing bracket, the two brackets that hold the radio up and that actually mount the fairing to the triple tree. And I just didn't like it. You could feel the tension on the cable as I was moving the bar. So I'm pulling it back out, and it works much better if you run it on the inside of that left bracket. I should have pulled it all the way out. It's easier to pull it out and run it through, but I had already pulled it out a couple times and I didn't feel like pulling it out again. So I'm just, you're not going to damage it. You got to just be careful. You work with it, and it's better. The turning radius is much, much better. You know, you have full turn, you don't have any tension on the cable or anything. And so now I'm sticking it through the grommet. Nice. That's exactly how you want it. You don't want it to interfere with your having any tension, or you know what I mean? Because sometimes those, if you have it, you're going to feel it, and it's going to bother you when you're either if you have resistance turning to the left or to the right, it's going to bother you, and you're going to want to take it off and pull it, you know, reroute it, and so it's a pain in the ass to do it that way. So, and here I'm actually going to be removing the pin. Right, there's pins that hold the brake lever and the clutch lever down, and there's actually a small C-clamp on the bottom. So here I'm going to be working on the clutch lever and the cable. So I move the bike over a little bit just so I can get in there. And so here I'm readjusting the little C-clamp tool. It's called a C-clamp, like C as in Charles. And so it's got a real small C-clamp underneath the pin that holds the lever down. And you got to take that little pin off in order to pull that dowel pin out of there so that you can remove the lever, the control lever. So there, I got it out. It's real small. And then you can actually pull the lever out. And these new levers come with new bushings, right? It's actually a bushing pin that sits inside of on the lever, and that pin and that lever actually go inside. They tuck inside of the lever bracket. And so your clutch cable has a ring, right? And that ring goes right on top of that. See that little bushing that I'm putting in there? It actually has a little pin, like a dowel pin as well. And it has like a lever so it doesn't go all the way down, doesn't fall through. So you put that cable, then you put that bushing, and then you slide the cable behind inside of the rear of the inside of the bracket. And then you got to be really careful too, because on the inside of that bracket there is a little tiny button, and you have it on the brake side as well. You see that I got it in there, and that is for the clutch switch. And there's the pin. So I'm getting the pin in there. And I'm not putting the C-clamp back on at this time because I am going to open up I'm going to have to change the fluid in change the fluids on the bike, and I'm going to change the fluid in the primary fluid. And so at that time, I'm going to be adjusting the inner clutch. But for now, I just wanted to see what the clutch felt like. And so I'm going to be tightening the clutch cable back up, and it's takes a long time. And so in a minute, I'm going to be speeding up the video here. But if you keep an eye on the lever, the clutch handle, the lever, you're going to see that coming out little by little. And so I'm trying to be careful. I'm holding the wrench on the inside of my hand because the last thing I want to do is hit or scratch the fender. I should have had the fender covered up at this point. And so I'm going to turn the wheel as well because it gives you more room as you're trying to tighten that cable up. You know, I was doing this voiceover, and my mic died. It has two mics and one receiver, right? One little connector that goes in the back of your phone. And so I recorded like 15 minutes earlier, and I realized as I was editing the video that it didn't work. So here I'm actually testing out the cable. Now, right here, you usually go with 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. You don't want more than 1/4 of an inch slack. But you know, you want to have a little bit of play as it retracts. And so the bushing's kind of tight, and here I'm just trying to loosen up the bushing. But the clutch feels amazing. I don't think it needs a inner clutch adjustment at all, but I'm going to test it out anyways to make sure it doesn't need it. You always want to make sure you do it, otherwise it'll be on the back of my mind, and I'll be like, why didn't I do it? So here I'm checking out the radius, and the turning is amazing in both directions. And basically talking to you guys about the bulb there.
So I put the rear fender on yesterday, and I put the grommets in there, ran the brake line up. Haven't tightened it yet. I'm having trouble with this line. It wants to sit this way. It doesn't want to go that way. So I may have to take it back off down there and readjust this. I mean, that doesn't look very bad, but it doesn't look very good either. I could always get a bracket for here, but I might have to just disconnect it from the front there. I'll show you guys. But I got the clutch already adjusted, but I might have to go in there and do the inner clutch. Maybe I won't. But once you put the bushings in here, they're kind of tight. You know, that's why a lot of people put the old bushing in there, because the old bushing bounces back pretty easy. And let me show you guys what I did to the front. I got the front marker lights up there. I got this on there, tightened down. Everything's tightened down in the front. And it took me a while because I had to retap the fender, and you guys will see on the video, but I was able to get all that stuff done. So, man, it sure is looking nice, isn't it? I have not got the USB lighter adapter that goes here. I did get new speakers for it, new Kenwoods, because the speakers that my brother gave me, they're sitting down low, like right on the edge here, and I don't want to drill. You know what I mean? There's nothing really back there, but I don't want to drill. The new ones just mount in these holes, so they're going to fit perfect. I didn't really want to do any drilling, so I'll just give those back to my brother. But that's the only thing keeping me from putting the fairing on there, and I got to put the rubbers on here. And it's coming along, man. It's coming along. It's looking pretty good. So hey guys, that's going to be a wrap for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, do me a favor, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And if you have not entered my current giveaway, my Sapphire giveaway 2009 Ultra, head over to jcustombuilds.com, buy yourself a hat, buy yourself a t-shirt, or both, and that is your automatic entry into the giveaway. Other than that, man, I hope you're having a great week. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Always remember to ride safe, take care, and God bless.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of